What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Kevin Sowa, and I'm on a mission to help new developers understand how to build cross-platform mobile applications with React Native. Okay, so in the previous episode, we were able to create our utility functions that we're going to be using to fetch the data from TMDB, using the useFetch function that we created over here, which basically uses Axios to get the data from the TMDB data base URL, and then we add our changeable parameter endpoint here to fetch the data from the API. So that's what we did yesterday, and we saw the data being fetched in real time. All right, so in today's video, now that we are able to fetch the data from the API, we are going to be seeing how we can actually make use of the data that we are getting from the API to integrate it or populate the data on our UI. So instead of having this hard-coded, static images from our assets on the UI, we are going to be populating the UI using the data that we are getting from the TMDB database. And with the log that we have here, you can see that this is how the data should look like. Let me reload this. And when you come to the homepage, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is the data that is being fetched. Okay. Let's see, this is the data. It basically provides an object with this keys page, and then this is the results. This is the results that we'll be using. The array which holds the results. Okay. So these are the options in it, and then we're going to be using this data to basically populate the UI. All right. Now, if this sounds interesting, do want to hit the like button. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and help this channel grow. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section as well. I'm going to appreciate the interactions and engagement with you guys a lot. I'm going to appreciate it very much. So thank you very much for sticking along, and hopefully you stick along through the end of this video, because trust me, it's going to be packed with a lot of new things, a lot of insightful tips that you can actually use in your own personal projects when you're building out, projects with Expo and React Native. So if this sounds interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and engage with this video. All right, without any further to do, let's jump right into it. Okay, so first of all, we want to populate the results, right? So this data that we fetched here, is what? Is just a random data, all right? But what we want to do now is sort of categorize it. We've generally fetched the movies, right? We want to categorize it because, as you can see, we have trending, right? We have trending lists. As you can see on the here, we have trending lists, and then we have new releases. Also, we have international picks. So we want to find a way to sort of categorize these data. Okay, so that's what we want to do now. All right. So first of all, let's create a param. Instead of having this same parameters for the data, we are going to create it, get this out here, and we're going to pass params here, right? So let's set params. Right now, params is undefined. So I'm going to say const params is equal to, then I paste in the object I cut. Okay, params like so. All right. So the first data set that will be, let me clear this log. The first data set that we'll be collecting is the trending now. So looking at the property that we've added here, you can see that this is the first page, and then we are sorting by popularity descending, which means that we want to see the most popular videos. Popular in the sense that it is also trending. If something is trending, then it means it has grown in popularity. Okay, so we are going to be sorting the data that we're getting in popularity of descending. So the most popular ones should come first. That's basically what we are doing here now. So what we are going to do now is that instead of having this to be just data, we're going to say trending data. Okay, and then for the error, we can just ignore it for now. And then we're going to see, for the loading, we're going to say trending loading like this. All right, good. So now, the next thing we want to do now is to create the next set, right? The next set. Let me do this. So the next set that we want to create, let me just copy this. The next set is going to be the new releases, right? It's going to be the new releases. So instead of saying trending data, I'm going to say new releases data, like so. And then I'm going to say new releases loading, like so. Also discover, but then for this one, we are going to, instead of having, for this params, we are going to modify the params a little bit, right? So we're going to spread out the current existing params, like so. But then for the primary, we're going to add another parameter here, which is going to be primary release year. Okay. And for this primary release here, we want to use the current date. So we're going to say new date dot get. We want to get a full year. Okay. Get full year, like so. All right. So we're going to be using this multiple times. So let's get this out, and then let's say current year, like so. And then let's create a variable for it, const current year. Then we paste this in here, like so. Okay, so basically this new releases simply means we want to fetch movies that has been released currently, so this year's releases. Okay, that's why we've passed this parameters here. So it's going to be filter the data based on the current year all the time. Okay, so that's what this new release here is doing. Let me refresh this so that the app is back. All right, so we have the trending now. Then we have new releases. Finally, we have international picks. Okay, international picks. So for international picks, also similar to what we are doing here, I'm going to copy this and paste it down here, like so. So I'm going to say international picks data, and then international picks loading, like so. Okay, but for that one, the endpoints that we are going to be using here is going to be discover/TV. Okay, it's going to be discover/TV. We want to fetch it as a TV series, right? So this for the discover, for the what do we call it? The new releases. Yes. So that's what we're going to be doing. So for that one also, we are simply going to keep the params as it is. We don't have to add any extra stuff. So we're just going to pass the params like so. The same params that we have here are going to be using the same one. Okay, let's refresh this. And then finally we do for the continue watching. Okay, this continue watching, we are going to be using the TV series also for this one. Okay, so let me paste this in here, and then I'm going to say continue watching data. Copy this, come over here, and then paste it over here as well. Continue watching loading. And then for the params, I'm going to spread the params as usual. And then the only thing that is going to change here is the page. Okay, so we are simply going to set the page to be page 2, right? So we want to fetch the next set of data. Okay. All right, good. So now we've basically categorized the data that we are fetching, and then we filter them based on what we want them to be. All right, good. Now you would notice that on, I think I've cleared the log. Let me log it again. Let me log this one, right? So say console, or you know what, let's just check it on the playground. So on the playground, when you come to movie, this is the results that you get, right, for a movie. For the result, this is how like the object looks like. So we can see here clearly that it has these key values all the time: adult, backdrop path, genre IDs, ID, original language, original title, and so on. Okay, so we want to create a type, a TypeScript type for the movie, just to handle the movie, because we know that since the data that is being returned is of this type, we can basically allocate a type to it that we are going to be using. Okay, so over here, I'm simply going to create a new file. I'm going to call it types.ts. So this is actually a good practice if you are using TypeScript to define your types. Okay, so I'm going to say export type movie, like so, and let's paste it in here like so. Let's open the object and paste the items in here and format it like so. Okay, so we simply change this to Boolean and so on. So this is going to simply be, so adult is going to be Boolean, backdrop path is a string, so we're going to set the type to string. And then the junior IDs is going to be an array of integers. ID is an integer, original language, string, and so on. So I already have the types here. I'm simply going to paste them. I'm going to paste it in here and then basically see what is happening. So this is going to be the types. This is going to be the types that I'm going to be using. So it's complaining about the floats. Cannot find floats. Did you mean GL floats? Okay, so I need to change the name of this file to types.d.ts and we should be good. All right, so basically this is the types. This is the types of, so I also added an extra property here, I think for the TV series, just to cover for the part. So I think it's poster part or original name and then original title. So one of this is for the movies, the other one is for series. So you can take note of that. All right, so let's get back to what we were doing. Good. So now that we've created the types, now the next thing that we want to do here is basically set the values from the array. So you can see that when you fetch the data, it doesn't just return an array, it returns two key values. One is the page, the next one is the results. Now we need this results array, right? So let's refactor the data that we've gotten. So for the trending movies, we're simply going to say const trending movies, and it's going to be of type movie that we just added. Let's make sure I'm importing it from the types. If I can type movie, good, an array of movies, right? And then is equal to trending data dot results, like so. Okay, so now when you log the trending movies, it should simply give you the array of data. Okay, like so. So it's going to take out the page and then the result key, simply go straight to the array as we want it, as you can see here. Good. So we're going to be doing the same thing for the others, right? So trending, we have trending movies, we have new release movies. I'm going to say new release movies like this, and it's going to be from the new releases data, like so. The next one is going to be the international picks. Pick movies, and we're also going to be using this international picks data, and then finally the continue watching movies. And for that, I'm going to be using the continue watching data. All right, good. Let's clear this. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is, now that we have the arrays of movies that we want, we now need to update this movie card. Okay, so because right now, how we've set it up is simply for it to get the static data that we've added, right? The static from the fake DB, where we have this static images and then title and then a genre. Okay, so let's get into the movie card and then update it. So instead of using this, having this types, we are going to clear it, right? It's going to error out, but don't worry, we are going to fix it. And for this movie card, what we are going to do is simply to set one property here, movie, and it's going to be, this movie here is going to be of type movie, like so. So let's make sure I've imported it. Clear this in here, like so. All right, good. So now we know that this movie holds all the types that we actually need. Okay, so first of all, for the image that we're going to be getting from the TMDB database, we need to first of all get the image path. Okay, we need to get the image path. So when you come to our utility function, or when you come to the use fetch hooks, what we want to do here is to add the image path. Okay, we want to add the TMDB image path. I'm going to paste it in here like so. Okay, so what this simply means is, for every image that we're getting in there from the API, we need to start the image with this URL. The URL that we get, we need to append it to this URL. So all the image needs to be coming from this domain, basically is what we are saying. Okay, so yeah, we're going to be using this for the image path, TMDB image path. Okay, back to the movie card. What we are going to do now is, since we have the image card, the image path, we can basically construct the image URL. Okay, so we are going to say const TMDB image path is going to be equal to the movie that we've just passed. If we have the movie, we are going to use the optional chaining, not optional chaining, but template literals. We are going to say the TMDB image base path, like so. So we are fetching it from the hooks and then the use fetch. So the base path, once we get the base path, then we add the image path that we're getting from the movie. Okay, so I'm going to say movie dot poster path, like so. So this is going to construct the image URL for us. All right, so if we don't have movie, we simply return null, like so. So this is going to be the image, the TMDB image path here, like so. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and then add, let's update the image that we have here. So instead of just having this static image and then this image source, we are going to be doing something here, right? We are simply going to pass the image URI. So we're going to say that if we have this TMDB, if this TMDB image is not null, if it is not null, the source, if this is not null, we are going to say that the source is going to be URI, and then we paste the TMDB image path. Else, we are going to use a default image. Okay, what is this default image? So this default image is going to be a blank image that I've added in the assets, right? So inside the assets folder, the images that you downloaded, we have this assets images / blank image in the assets. So here it's saying asset image blank image could not be found. So it means I haven't added it inside the assets yet. So let me go ahead and then add it. So I'm going to add the images, the image over here like so. Yeah, so this is it, blank image. That's the blank image we are seeing here. All right. Now let's refresh this. Come over here like so. Okay, so you're still fixing it. So this blank image, you're going to be using it quite a lot. So instead of just having to type this all the time, we are going to export it as a utility. Okay, we are going to export it as a utility. So inside the utils, I'm going to create, we don't have a utils folder, so let's create a new folder and name it utils, like so. And inside utils, we're going to create a new file, call it assets.ts. Okay, so inside assets, we are simply going to say export const default image, like so. And let me copy, let's cut this. Let's say default, let's paste it in here, like so. And we are going to import this default image over here and then use the default image instead, like so. Yes, so what this simply means is that for this image, we are simply going to be using the source from TMDB image path. If we have it, we're going to be using that URI that we've constructed over here. If we don't have it, then it should default to the default blank image that we've just set. Okay, so that's for the image. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is to set the title. So the title also is pretty much straightforward. I'm going to say the title is going to be movie.original title. If we have original title, we want to use it. Else, we are going to use movie.original name. The reason why I'm doing this is in some cases, it's going to be fetching a series data. And for the series data, it is different from the movie data in terms of the title of the movie. Okay, so for the series, it uses movie.original name, but for the title, for the movie, or for the actual movie, it uses movie.original title. But for TV series, it uses movie.original name. That's why we have this over here. Okay. One thing you'd also notice is that for the genres, when you come to the genres, it actually returns an array of numbers, right? It doesn't return to you the actual genre of the movie. It returns an array of numbers. And to get the actual genres, you can find them over here. So when you come to the genres, come to the movie list. And when you fetch the genre data, it returns you what each ID represents. Okay, so for the number 28, this is the name of that genre. For the number 12, this is the name of that genre. So this is what we are going to be using to fetch get the genres. Okay, so that's for movie. This is the movie for the movie. And then this is for the TV series. This is the key, the ID, and then the name, what it represents. So I've gone ahead to create a utility function for this. For these genres, I'm simply going to paste it in here and then you can copy it. That's what we're going to be using. Okay, so I'm going to, inside the utils, I'm going to create a new file here and I'm going to call it genres.ts, like so. I'm simply going to paste it in here like so. So basically, the data that we got over here, I simply copied them and merged them. So for the movie list and then the TV list, I just copied both of them, the objects inside the array, copied them and merged them into one array. Some of them intersect in the sense that they have the same IDs and then the same name. So for those ones, I've already made them one and then cleared their duplicates, basically. So you can also do same, merge the two arrays and make sure there are no duplicates for the array here. And then once you've merged the array or the list of the genres, you can simply add this, right? This journal map sort of creates an entries for the key, the ID, and then the name. So it creates an array, returns an array for each value inside there, or for each item inside the array. It creates an array of ID and then the name. And then it uses this function to generate the actual genres, because we now know what each ID represents. So the ID number here represents this talk, this ID number here represents name, war, and politics, and so on. So we're going to be using this utility function to generate the genres for the movie. Okay, so back to the movie card, instead of having this genre here, we're going to say generate genre. Make sure you're importing it. from our utils, and then we're going to pass. So here you can see that we are having this journals IDs here. So, and it's of type an array of number, right? Which is what we are expecting from the API. From the API, expecting an array of numbers, okay? When you come back to the movie list, you realize that that's what we are getting as the journal IDs. We are getting the journal IDs, an array of numbers. So that's what we are using. So we are going to say movie.journal IDs if we have it, else just use an empty array, like so. Okay, good. So hopefully this works, and we should now, okay, it's still complaining. Original title is undefined. Yes, so we need to apply some optional chaining just in case the movie is undefined, like so. Let's make sure I've added that everywhere so that it doesn't error out. All right. So as you can see, right now it's just showing the default image, which means we are not getting the actual image for some reason. So let me log what the TMDB image path is, what we are getting. So .log, paste this in here, and let's see, it's returning now for some reason. So let's see what we are getting for the movie. Okay, good. I know what is happening. So when you come back to the images over here, now the types that you are passing here is wrong. So clear this inside the trending, and then we are going to pass, for the movie, you are simply going to pass the item like so. Okay, simply going to pass. So it is, let's see what it's complaining about. It's missing the following. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what we have to do now is, instead of passing this hard-coded movies data here, we are simply going to pass the trending movies here like so. And then this should now get the movies for us. So as you can see, it is now populating. This data that I've seen here is being fetched from the TMDB database, and it's no longer coming from the hard-coded values that we added. Okay, so now let's do the same for the new release movies. Copy this over here, and then instead of having this, simply replace it with the new releases, and then so this is not supposed to be new releases. Undo the new releases is here. Pass it in here, and then make sure that you are passing the correct property. The next one is international pics, which is the last one over here. Paste it in here, and then we pass in the movie item like so inside the flat list. And then finally, for the continue watching movies, we replace this, and also, so we also have to update. So let me undo this for now. We also have to update the continue watching component to make use of the new setup that we have. Okay. So for this, also similar to what we are doing, we are going to make changes for it to apply to the new rules. So we clear this type over here because we are no longer going to be using it. Clear this, and I'm going to pass the movie here like so. Let's say the movie is going to be of type movie like so. Make sure I'm importing the movie from the types, and also let's pass the TMDB image over here like this. The TMDB image path, make sure I'm importing it from the hooks, and then now we can pass the image. Okay, so instead of having this image here, we are going to be using, similar to what we did in the in the movie card, we're going to be using this instead. I'm going to say the image is going to be of source TMDB image path. If it exists, we're going to use the URI, else we use the default image. So let's import the default image. And the style here, well, let's see which style we were using initially. Style.image. Okay. So this is supposed to be style.image like so. Okay. All right. So style.image. And let's see what else we need to change the title. So the title to similar to what we did on the movie card. I'm going to paste the title in here using the movie.original title and then movie.original name. And then the genre we are going to be using the utility function that we created. Okay, over here. So get genre string is what we are going to be using. Make sure I'm importing it. And then you pass in the genre IDs for it, like so. Okay. All right, awesome. So at this point, you can now come here and then for the continue watching, grab this and then paste it in here like so. And we clear this and then pass the movie prop like so. Not movies, the item rather. We pass it here like so. Reload the terminal. And then we should now get all the data being fetched from the TMDB API as it's supposed to be. So as you can see, we are getting all these movie cards, not from the hard-coded values that we set, but we are getting it from the TMDB database. Beautiful. Beautiful. New releases, we are getting it from the database. Getting everything from the database. All right, awesome. Okay, also you can notice that with this play icon over here, we are supposed to have a whitish background behind it to represent the play button, right? The play button. So let's see why it is not here. This is the icon. Let's see the styling that we have for the press play. Okay. Not sure what the cause is. Let's see. We have the play here. Okay. So we actually need to wrap this around a view to make sure that we are passing the cover for it, for this UI. Okay. So we're going to apply some styling to it and see styles dot play button here like so. And I'm going to apply the styles to it. So for this play button, I'm going to paste in the styling like this. Good. So all this is doing is you're simply applying a height of 60 to it, a width of 60, a border radius of 50% to make it rounded. And then we align items to be in the center. We justify content to be in the center. And then we are giving it a background color of text, which is the white color that you are seeing here. All right, this actually looks good. Okay, so for the touchable opacity that is around it, we can set the active opacity to be 0.8 so that it is not too intense when you press on it. Okay, very subtle. All right, awesome, good. So now we are populating these components with data that we are getting from the TMDB database. Okay, all right, so the next thing that we want to do here on the home page is also, you can notice that for this overlay components that we have, it is fetching static data. Okay, it is always adding this Sandman image with this series tag and then this title and this year and genre. Okay, we want it to be dynamic. We want it to change anytime you move to this screen. It should randomize the type of data that it shows. Okay, so that's what we want to do next. We don't want to have the static views over here. Okay, so now we're going to be using a function to generate random movies. Okay, it's going to be generating random movies for us. So inside the home page, make sure you're on the home page, the home screen. We're going to add in a function outside of the home screen, like so. I'm going to paste it in here and then explain what is happening. Okay, so this gets random movie function here. It basically takes a parameter of movie, of type movie that we've already set, and it returns a movie, or it doesn't return anything at all. So now it returns a movie. Now, if we don't have anything in the movie array, it takes a movies array, right? If we don't have any movies, which is why I'm saying movies.length is now, we return now, which means we don't have any movie. If we do have, once we cross this step, it means we have a movie, right? So we return, first of all, we get a backdrops of the movie. So we simply look for the movies that have backdrop path, okay? Then we get the backdrops of all the movies that we have in the array. We get the backdrops, which is the images, right? Now, if we have backdrops, we are going to get a random movie. So with the backdrop that we have, we are going to generate random movie from it, okay? So we are going to be using this backdrop and then this formula to basically generate the random movie. And then this function is going to return the random movie that is being generated. So this random movie that is going to be generated is what is going to be changing or being shown on this overlay. Okay. So I mean, you can basically get this code, this function here to generate the random movies for us. All right. So for this, we can simply copy this and then come over here, create a new constant variable and call it overview movie is equal to, going to call the get random movie, and then we're going to pass the trending movies array, like so. So it's going to be getting us random movies from the trending movies array, and we are going to set that overview movie as the overview movie. Okay, so it's going to sort of be the highlight of the app that is going to be shown there. Okay, so now for the overview section, this simply means that we need to add in a property over here, which is going to be the movie, and it's should be of type movie, like so. Okay, and then when we come back here, we can now pass the movie which we've just gotten over here, like so. Okay, what is it complaining about? So we can set the type to be movie or no, like so. Okay, so now we can get back in there and start using the data that we're getting from the movie to be displayed over here. Okay, so similar to what we were doing, you can simply pass this image path over here, the backdrop image path. So we get a backdrop. Now I'm using the backdrop image path because it is a lot wider. It has a wider width as compared to the image path, the normal ones that we're using for the movie card. Okay, that's why I'm using the backdrop image for the overview, because we need a much bigger image. Okay, so that is what we are using now. And for the image, instead of using the static image, we're going to be doing a similar thing with what we were doing earlier on the movie card. I'm going to paste in the image source over here like so. Make sure you're importing the default image. Okay, so we are simply saying that for the source, we are going to use the backdrop image inside the URL if it exists and it's not null. Else we use the default image, which is the gray background. Okay, so as you can see, the image is now changing. We are getting random images, right? Because we're using random images in there. Okay, so that is the image we've just applied. Now, the next thing that we want to do is that we want to change the title of the movie. So when you come down here, instead of having the Sandman, we are going to see it should be, instead of saying the Sandman, it should be the movie.original title. Okay, like so. So as you can see, this is the title. And you can notice there is this bug here that we missed earlier that we need to fix, right? You can see because the title is long, it has shifted the icon way, the play icon way out of the screen. So let's fix this right away. Okay. So what we want to do now is to add in this style and see it should be flex 1. And also we are going to set the number of lines. Okay, the number of lines here is already set to 1. And then for the icon, the play icon, instead of just placing it here, we're going to put it inside a view, wrap it around a view like so. And for this view, we are going to give it a style, okay? And we are going to say that it should have a width of 75 and align items should be flex and like so. Let's clear this. Okay, now let's reload this. Come to the home page. And let's see what happens when the text is long. All right, good, awesome. So now, anytime the title is long, instead of it pushing the icon way out of the UI, it's simply going to truncate over here instead of just pushing the play icon outside the view. Okay, so let me clear this now. Good. So now we want to update the year and then the genre of the movie. So for the genre, we already know what needs to be done. So let's pass in this template literals and let's paste in this year for now and have this pipe text over here. And for the genre, we are simply going to say get genre string, and we are going to pass in the movie dot genre IDs. If we don't have it, we pass an empty array like so. Let's reload this. All right, good. So as you can see, we are now getting the actual genres for this particular movie, the Toxic Avenger movie that we are seeing here. We are getting its actual genre. Okay, now we want to get the actual year this movie was released. So we can actually get it from the API that we're using. We are simply going to set a variable here and then see const year release is equal to movie dot release date, right? And then we want to split it. We want to, because the date has this hyphen, we just need a year, right? And the date actually gives us the day, the month, and then the year. We only need a year. So we're going to split it based on the hyphen between them. Okay, it is separated by a hyphen. So we're going to use the dot split to create an array which gets the values based on the hyphens between them. Okay, so once we get that, we want the item at the index 0, like so. So when we have it, we use it. If we don't, we just place in an empty string here, like so. So yeah, so now instead of having this hard-coded 2025 here, I'm going to pass in the year release over here, like so. So good. So now you can see instead of, so it's still saying 2025 because the year this movie was released was probably 2025. That's why I'm saying the 2025 Copa Nurse. So when you come back here, this was also released in 2025. So yeah, we are now getting actual data from the API that we are using. All right, awesome. So at this point, we are now generating dynamic assets, dynamic data, dynamic images from the profile, from the homepage. We are now getting the trending movies from the TMDB API. We are getting movies that we are continuing to watch, TV series that we have added, and then new releases, latest updates, latest movies that have been added. So these are new releases for this year, 2025. All these movies are new movies. And then the international picks here as well. So as you can see, we are now making use of the data that we are getting from the TMDB database. And things are looking a lot better than they used to. Things are really looking good right now. And we are making good progress. All right, so we're going to end today's video here. If this video has been very helpful and you've stuck around to this point, do want to hit the like button if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Because being able to stick around to this point tells me a lot that you're actually gaining some good insights from this video and you're learning a lot. And you're also building a project that you can, put on your portfolio and then showcase out there. So if this video is helpful, do also hit the subscribe button to join the community. Hit the subscribe button, share this video to your friends and colleagues, and then leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And I'm going to appreciate that a lot. Thank you once again for following along to this point, and catch you in the next episode of this series.